I'm here with Jackie Speier, Congresswoman out of California. Jackie, can you go back a few years and talk about what happened in your situation when you were shot?
I was a legislative counsel to Congressman Leo Ryan, and many members of an organization called the People's Temple had left San Francisco and moved to Guyana in South America. Many of them were young adults that had family members back in my congressman's district who were concerned about their well-being. So Congressman Ryan decided to find out for himself whether they were safe, whether they were being held there against their will. And so we made the trip along with family members who were interested in reuniting with their family and members of the press. And over the course of the evening that we were there, two people slipped notes to one of the members of the press who was walking around the perimeter of the pavilion. And this is in the middle of the jungle. This is, they built a very viable community with cabins and crops, a medical clinic, a child care center, about 1,000 people living there. And we got these two notes, and we knew that, my God, what we had feared was true, that people were being held there against their will. In the morning, I was retrieving the two individuals and their belongings, and word spread, and more people wanted to leave. And so emotions ran very high. There was very tense moments. Parents, one pulling the kid to stay, the other pulling the kid to leave. Truly traumatic. And Jim Jones was very dismissive about it.
Jim Jones was the leader
of Jonestown. And so we didn't have enough planes, so I was leaving with the first airlift out, and Congressman Ryan was staying behind with about another 40 people that wanted to leave at the time. And then someone in the pavilion attempted to kill him with a knife. So they scurried around and brought him down to the dump truck that we were in on our way to the airstrip. And he joined us. Unbeknownst to us, a tractor trailer followed from behind with 7 gunmen on it. And as I was loading passengers into the two planes, they came and shot us at point blank range. Smart people ran into the bush. Congressman Ryan ran under the plane. I followed suit and hid behind one of the wheels and played dead. And then...
Had you been shot at that point?
No. And the shooting, was going on, and all of a sudden, I was shot. The whole right side of my body was blown up. And I thought, oh my God, this is it. I'm 28 years old. I'm not going to live to get married and have kids. And I waited to die.
Did you remain conscious during this? That all of these thoughts were rolling through your mind?
And then I had a very powerful grandmother who was about 86 at the time. And I thought, I'm not going to have her live through my funeral if I can avoid it. And the plane's engines were still revving, so I didn't know what was happening. It was clear Congressman Ryan was dead. So I dragged my body to the plane, and then one of the reporters that was there kind of shoved me into the cargo hold. The plane wasn't going anywhere. It had been shot. The engine and one of the tires had been blown out. But eventually they took me off the plane and placed me on the side of the airstrip, unfortunately on an anthill. But, you don't sweat the small stuff when you die. And so I was on that airstrip for 22 hours without medical attention.
And you were shot how many times did you find out?
I was shot 5 times.
Where on your body were you?
So I was shot on my arm, both parts of my arm, my leg, and my back.
So you must have been bleeding horribly.
So and it was very unsanitary circumstances. So when I finally got airlifted out of there, they thought they were going to have to amputate my arm and or my leg because the gas gangrene. And so taken over. But I went through hyperbaric chamber treatments and 10 surgeries. I was hospitalized for 2 months.
But Jackie, in those 22 hours that you were lying on the tarmac with your boss had been killed, he was
lying on the airstrip. They had moved me from the anthill. There was a tent for some unknown reason that was on the airstrip, and so I was moved into the tent for the night. And then one of the members of the NBC team that was on the trip with us would come in occasionally. They were staying at a bar in Matthew Ridge at the time, and would bring a bottle of rum and give me a swig of rum to kind of calm my nerves and get me through the night.
Were you just in incredible pain?
I was in shock. It's amazing how I was in pain, but I was in shock, so it was, I think, dulled by that.
Did you know what everything else was happening? Do you know what was happening all around you?
So, this is 1978, so, there weren't cell phones. But in the middle of the night, word came to us that the suicide murders had taken place. I always cringe when people say there were, 900 people committed suicide. They didn't commit suicide. They were murdered. And the cyanide-laced flavor aid, it was not Kool-Aid, but people referred to it as Kool-Aid, was injected into the arms of children, and people were forced to swallow it at gunpoint. It was a cult that had gone unchecked by the federal government, by local law enforcement, and a State Department that had failed in its obligation to protect American citizens abroad. So a lot of places to point blame. Some people got out, but all their lives were ruined. And the congressman lost his life, the only congressman in the history of this country to be assassinated in the line of duty. The NBC News crew was shot and killed. Local photographer. It was clearly a defining moment in my life. But for those of us who have suffered the effects of gun violence, being shot is just the beginning of a very long, painful, emotionally scarring, as well as physically scarring experience that we don't calculate. And for our colleagues on the other side of the aisle to be so dismissive because they are under the spell of the NRA and the gun lobby is criminal. I mean, we should not allow this to continue. We have got to have the guts to do what's right here. We've got to make sure that we don't ever have to see another text like that of Eddie who says, "Mama, I'm gonna die." I mean, we owe it. We owe it to law-abiding American citizens that we are going to make this place safe.
Well, that day in your life when you saw your boss die in front of you and you were shot 5 times, what has that done to you? Physically, emotionally, mentally, professionally?
When you come that close to death, you're not nearly as fearful. So I've spent the rest of my life committed to one, never taking another day for granted, living every day as fully as possible. And I committed at that time that I would just spend the rest of my life in public service. So that's been the privilege of coming that close to death and surviving. There was a huge silver lining. I got a second chance at life, and I think had I not, I would have taken a lot more for granted in my life.
And what about physically? You talked about the gun violence. You know, there's a lot more to it than we typically talk about. But even physically, in your case, what is that? What has it meant to you?
Well, it's physically and emotionally scarring that is indelible. Emotionally, there's, car backfiring sends me into, kind of a post-traumatic stress. I mean, imagine what it does to members of the military who have undergone weeks, months, years of deployment. I mean, I was under fire for a minute, maybe. And physically, it's devastating. It took me a long time to put a bathing suit on, and
you were 28 years old. And you still have remnants of this. Can you talk about that inside your body?
So I was shot 5 times, and I still carry 2 bullets. So they don't affect my daily activities.
And today on the House floor, when you were talking about this reasonable gun legislation to make sure terrorists aren't able to get guns, and that we make sure we keep guns out of the hands of deranged people, you stood on the House floor and you had with you a little kind of a bag that said evidence. What
it was a plastic envelope that was given to me by the FBI. They removed 1 bullet about a year after Guyana, and it was given to the FBI. They did forensics on it, and it was used in the trial for one of the perpetrators who survived and who was a gunman at the airstrip, who was feigning that he was a defector. So eventually they gave it back to me, and so I've just kept it in my drawer for all these years, 38 years. And then yesterday, as I was watching what was happening on the House floor, because I was at my brother's bedside, I decided I would bring it today, because I was so proud of what my colleagues had done on the House floor, and I just wanted to underscore how this is not business as usual anymore. We cannot allow this tragedy not to change the way our country handles gun violence and make this a safer place in which people can live.
Jackie, is there anything else you'd like to share? I mean, that's a powerful way to send your message out to America.
We just owe it to the American people not to let a gun lobby or campaign money or the risk of losing an election prevent us from protecting Americans. We're elected to do something, and we have fallen into this kind of milieu where not getting anything done is acceptable, and it's not.
Thank you, Congresswoman Jackie Speier, for your willingness to share a very, very personal and life-changing, terrible incident that happened to you, and appreciate your willingness to share that.